June 17th, 7:08 a.m. I was scraping burnt egg off the skillet we got as a wedding gift, the one engraved Jerry and Diane, 1989, the only thing in our kitchen that hadn't faded. His voice poured from my laptop, charming, practiced. Love my wife, but retirement? Hell no. She's dead weight in a cute apron. 23 million people laughed. 23 million strangers watched him erase me, while our wedding photo blurred behind a mic he never paid for. I didn't scream, didn't throw the plate. I just opened the Dropbox he forgot I still had access to. Inside, a $28,000 contract from Men's Life, PayPal logs labeled Anniversary Fight, Final Cut, and a life insurance policy with my name misspelled, like his secretary's, so I booked the same podcast slot, same mic, same chair. But this time, I brought the truth. We weren't flashy people, no European cruises, no matching electric bikes, just 2 lawn chairs, a used grill, and our quiet routines. The skillet I was scrubbing that morning, it had scratches from 30 years of Sunday breakfasts, but it still held together, just like I thought we did. Jerry worked sales, mostly RVs. I spent 28 years behind a school secretary's desk. We budgeted carefully, split everything, passwords, groceries, laughter. We weren't rich in dollars, but we were rich in rhythm. Every night at 7:30, we watched Jeopardy. He'd squeeze my hand during Final Jeopardy when I got the answer right. "That's why I married you, Di," he'd say, and I believed him. When he retired, I baked him a cherry pie from scratch, his favorite. He kissed my cheek and said, "Guess I better get used to you full time now, huh?" We both laughed. I didn't realize he meant as material. The jokes didn't start online. They started at poker night. She tracks every penny I spend. It's like living with the IRS, but cuter. Barbecues, golf outings. Dee thinks Amazon Prime is a religion. He'd flash that grin, like I was supposed to laugh with them, like it didn't sting. But eventually, it did. People stopped looking at me when he talked. Their laughs turned tight, sympathetic. I asked him once, softly, if I was embarrassing. He chuckled. "Don't be so sensitive, babe. You know I love you." And I nodded, because that's what you do when you're trying to be the kind of woman a man keeps laughing with instead of at. But somewhere in that silence, I started wondering, if love makes you feel invisible, is it still love? It started with a text from my niece. "Aunt Di, is this real?" Just 5 words, no link, no explanation. I was folding towels in the den. The sun came through the blinds just right. For a second, everything felt intact, but my stomach knew better. 10 minutes later, she sent the link. It was a clip from one of those loud guy talk podcasts. Neon lights, smug smiles, too many microphones. And there he was, Jerry, my husband, leaning back like he owned the place, wearing the blue shirt I gave him for our 30th anniversary, smirking. The host asked what retirement was like, and Jerry delivered it like a line he'd been waiting to use his whole life. Retirement? Living with your wife full time? It's like jury duty, just with less pay and more guilt trips. They roared. He grinned, and then, "She means well. She's just background noise with a grocery list." That was the moment, the exact second he pulled the rug out from under 34 years of small kindnesses, because that's what I'd been, the rhythm, the list, the one who made sure the fridge had milk and the car had gas and the house didn't fall apart. And now I was content, a viral moment, a soundbite wrapped in someone else's laughter. By the time I found the full clip, it had 12 million views. By nightfall, 23, my Facebook lit up with tags, friends, strangers, everyone asking if I'd seen it, if I was okay. Jerry just said, It's comedy, babe. Relax. This could be good for us. I stopped being a wife and became a joke with a punchline he could sell. Then it happened. A quiet click in my mind as I reviewed the credit card statements. There it was. Small. Out of place. A single charge that didn't fit. Not proof yet, but not nothing. And suddenly, for the first time in years, I wasn't the one looking away. I didn't confront him. Not that night. Not the next morning. Jerry made his eggs like nothing had happened, asked if I wanted syrup on my toast, kissed the top of my head like he hadn't just broadcast my worthlessness to 23 million people. I answered him. I smiled, and I watched, because something had shifted, not just in the marriage, but in me. That small charge on the bank statement, it was for a domain name, registered to a Gmail I didn't recognize. The site? A merchandise store, selling mugs, t-shirts, even cutting boards, all with his jokes printed on them. My humiliation, monetized. But I said nothing. Instead, I cleaned the kitchen like usual. I watered the plants. I kept the routine. But I started noticing more. The way his phone always faced down. The second lock screen I'd never seen before. The PayPal notifications he cleared too quickly. How he started staying late at the rec center, even when his gym bag never left the closet. I wasn't looking for revenge. I wasn't even looking for answers. Not yet. I was gathering. And the more I stayed quiet, the more he thought I was shrinking, becoming smaller, softer, defeated. But really, I was sharpening, because when a woman like me goes quiet, it's not surrender, it's strategy. And the moment I found the email trail threaded through 3 forgotten inboxes, I knew. He hadn't just sold me out for views, he'd made me a product. And I'd finally decided, if he was going to profit from the pain, I'd show them what it really cost. It started with the domain name, the one he bought using our joint card, but registered under a Gmail address I'd never seen. It led me to a Shopify account, the name of the store, The Retired Truth, his face on the homepage, arms crossed, with the tagline, Husband, Survivor, Unfiltered. There were t-shirts, mugs, hats, slogans like, I do nothing, I'm retired, and my wife thinks I'm her hobby. And the worst one, deadweight in a cute apron. He had turned our marriage into merchandise. So I opened a new notebook, just a simple spiral one from the dollar store. I started writing everything down, every strange transaction, every late-night text, every deleted email that reappeared in the cloud when he forgot to empty his trash folder. I created a log, dates, amounts, contacts, links. He never noticed. I made sure of that. He thought I was back to baking, back to puzzles and bird feeders and watching the Price is Right reruns. But I was in his inbox. I was in the metadata, and I was in the folders he labeled taxes and fishing trips and Dad's birthday, even though his father had passed away in 2013. That's where I found the PayPal trail, payouts from podcast sponsors, affiliate links, even a Venmo transaction labeled bonus for the fake fight. Turns out our anniversary argument that he accidentally filmed for the podcast, it was scripted. He even storyboarded it. And there, tucked into a folder titled June Assets, was a contract, signed, stamped, $3,000 for an authentic conflict segment featuring spouse for viewer engagement. No mention of my name, just the wife, like I was a prop. That was the moment I stopped hoping he'd apologize, stopped imagining he'd take it all down or explain himself. He hadn't slipped. He had planned it. And when someone plans to erase you, quiet isn't enough. That night, I closed the notebook, labeled the cover, Exhibit A. Then I opened a private message to a lawyer I hadn't spoken to since 2009, and typed 6 words I never thought I'd write. Can emotional damage be monetized legally? At first, I thought it was just greed, the money, the sponsorships. Maybe he got a taste of attention and didn't know how to stop. But it wasn't that. It was worse. I found the pitch deck in a shared Google Drive, a slideshow, 13 pages long, titled Retire Like a Man. He'd sent it to 3 podcast networks, 2 beverage brands, and a speaker's agency. Slide 4 broke me. Pain sells. Build audience through honest conflict. And right beneath it, our wedding photo, cropped, just him. I was cut out cleanly, like I'd never been there. There was a photo from our kitchen, one I didn't know he'd taken. I was in the background stirring something on the stove. The caption, "Capture the archetype, everyman versus overbearing wife." I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. He wasn't trying to go viral. He was trying to build a brand on the bones of our marriage. And he had a strategy, conflict arcs, episode themes, merch tie-ins, even a slide on how to escalate for seasonal engagement. He wasn't just making fun of me. He was positioning me. I wasn't the problem. I was the plot device. That's when I stopped calling it betrayal, because betrayal implies there was love somewhere beneath it. This was business. And I knew the only way to beat someone who turns your pain into profit is to show the world what he really sold to get there. You can't just burn a man like Jerry. He's too charming, too polished. He tells a lie like it's an anecdote, and people laugh because it's easier than asking questions. So I didn't go to Facebook, didn't post a long, tearful rant, didn't scream into the void for sympathy. I went to a lawyer, and then I went to a woman named Angela. Angela used to run PR for a local senator. Now she helps women like me clean house, reputationally speaking. She didn't ask why I wanted help, just opened a folder and said, "Let's map the fire." We laid everything out on her dining table, contracts, screenshots, Venmo receipts, that cursed pitch deck. Angela circled 3 names, brands that sponsored his podcast. She said, "They won't care about the joke, but they'll care about the deception." We drafted a media packet, evidence folder, summary timeline, one headline-ready quote. He used my life to sell a lie. Angela reached out to one journalist, just one, someone who'd covered domestic emotional coercion through digital platforms, someone respected, someone who wouldn't twist the story for clicks. Meanwhile, the lawyer drafted a cease and desist for using my image, my voice, even my apron, which, yes, appeared in his merch line. The hardest part? Staying quiet, playing the same wife role one more week, smiling at his content days, packing his vitamin organizer while knowing I was about to pull the rug out from under his entire brand. But every night, I'd whisper it like a vow. "You built this empire on my silence. Let's see how it survives my voice." And when the first journalist called Jerry for comment, he still thought he could spin it. He had no idea the house was already soaked in gasoline. I picked a Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m., right when his audience was sipping coffee and scrolling for dopamine. I started with a post. Since my husband made our marriage a public joke, I thought it was only fair to share the punchline. Attached was a still frame, his face mid-sneer, captioned with the contract he'd signed behind my back, $28,000 from Men's Life Weekly, to act like a long-suffering husband trapped by a clingy wife. It took 12 minutes, 12, before my phone exploded. First, it was Facebook, comments rolling in like waves. Wait, this is real? He used her for content? I liked that video. Now I feel sick. Then Instagram Reels picked it up. TikTok commentators stitched my post with dramatic readings of his texts. My inbox flooded with women saying, "My ex did this too." But I wasn't done. At noon, I went live. No makeup, no filter, just me, sitting in the kitchen he once called her little prison. I opened a folder titled Receipts, Jerry, Forgot I Had, emails, PayPal logs, screenshots of him rehearsing fake fights in our bathroom mirror, even footage of him hiding my car keys to stage a breakdown scene. I stayed quiet when he went viral, I said, voice steady. But silence isn't kindness, it's complicity. I ended the stream with a question. What's the cost of going viral if you burn your whole house down to get there? By 6 p.m., the fallout was complete. His brand sponsorships dropped him. 3 talk shows canceled appearances. Even his golf club posted a statement of values. Jerry tried to respond, posted a video titled My Side of the Story. But by then, the narrative had shifted. He looked small, not just guilty, insignificant. People started stitching his video with mine, overlaying his rant with my screenshots. Laugh tracks replaced with silence. And silence, it turns out, speaks louder than followers. But I hadn't even revealed the final file yet, the one that didn't just end a career. It questioned everything I thought I knew about the man I married. The morning after the live stream, I opened my front door to find silence waiting on the porch. No reporters, no camera crews, just a single envelope, handwritten, no return address. Inside, a note on hotel stationery, scrawled in Jerry's familiar slanted script, "You win. Hope it was worth it." That was it. No apology, no explanation, just 3 bitter sentences and a final insult wrapped in passive ink. I should have felt triumphant, but all I felt was hollow. I'd burned the house down, yes, but now I was standing in the ashes. No more audience, no more villain, just me and a marriage that had already ended long before the internet caught up. Friends called. My sister sent flowers. Strangers messaged me like I was a hero. But late at night, when the house creaked and the old fridge hummed, I still caught myself glancing at the chair he used to fall asleep in. And that's when I found the voicemail, buried in my landline's inbox, time-stamped 3 days before the live stream. Jerry's voice, shaky, slower than I remembered. "Diane, I messed up. I know I did. But please don't take this to them. Please don't make me the joke. Not like this." He never sent another. Suddenly, the victory felt complicated. I had built my revenge perfectly, executed it with elegance. But I hadn't expected the grief that came after. Not for him, for the girl I used to be, the one who still believed a good man wouldn't trade love for likes. And as I sat alone, listening to his voice fade out, I realized this story wasn't about going viral. It was about finding peace when no one's watching. People think revenge feels like fire, but in truth, it's smoke. It lingers in the curtains. It clings to your sweaters. You carry it with you, even when you think the room is clear. There were nights I replayed the video, not to celebrate, just to remind myself it happened, that I did stand up, that I wasn't invisible. And yet, a question kept tugging at me. When did we stop being partners and start being content? I used to know that man. I held his dreams. I memorized his heartbeat. But somewhere between the likes and live streams, he chose applause over intimacy, and I chose silence until I didn't. I don't regret the burn, but I do grieve the version of me that thought love would be enough. Now, I'm rebuilding. Not a marriage, not a brand, just myself, piece by piece, without a camera. And as I folded up the last of his shirts and watched the sun spill across the porch, I realized something. I didn't burn it all down to punish him. I burned it down so I could finally step into the light. I never saw Jerry again. Not in court, not in the grocery aisle, not even at the cemetery when his mother passed. But sometimes, When the wind moves through the porch swing just right, I think I still hear his voice, not the one from that show, the other one, the one that whispered, "You're the best thing I ever did right." Before I knew he meant it for ratings. I don't miss him, but I grieve the version of him I invented. That woman, she deserved more than a punchline. The skillet still hangs near the stove, dented, burnt on the underside, but still here, still useful. People stop me sometimes. They say, "You're the one from that story, right?" And I smile and say, "Only the first chapter." Because the truth, the real story, the one he was too scared to live, that one's mine now. And maybe some stories don't end. They just grow quiet enough to become your breath.